Hello everybody, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Today, after the closing bell, Palantir is going to announce their Q4 and full year 2022 results. I thought it would be really cool to give you a preview and then show you what all the other influencers are talking about and try to make some sense about what's happening with Palantir. If you are interested, I will be doing the presentation live. I will be doing the earnings call live on Arnie Investing's channel. I'm going to leave a link to it down below in the description. It's going to be me, it's going to be Arnie, it's going to be Emmanuel, and you never know who else is going to pop in. Probably Chris Patel, because he's like in all of the different lives. He's like the designated live host. And hopefully I could see you guys there. It'll be really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about earnings and what exactly is going on. Currently, the price of Palantir is trading at $7.62. Over the last month, Palantir went from $5.84 all the way to $9.21, and now it retreated to $7.62. Currently, it's up 10% for the month. It's down 23% for 6 months, and is still down 42% for the year. Q4 2022, this is what the estimate, this is consensus. 3 cents per share, so EPS, earnings per share, is going to be 3 cents, and the total revenue is going to be a smidge over 500 million at 502 million.25. To compare this to Q4 of 2021, we had 2 cents earning per share, and the revenue was 432 million.87. Now let's talk about full year. Full year 2021, we did 13 cents earnings per share and 1.54 billion total revenue. It looks like we're going to be shy of $2 billion this year, although the magic number was supposed to be 2 billion. So for full year 2022, this is the estimates, 5 cents per share, earnings per share. And we had around 1.4 billion plus the 500 million that we're getting right now. We're up to 1.9 billion plus or minus. So the estimate is we're going to make 1.9 billion for full year total revenue, and that would account for around a 23.4% year-over-year growth rate, which is absolutely shy of the 35% or 30% that we were promised by Palantir and Dr. Alex Karp. I'm not criticizing, and I do think that it's going to even out, and over the next decade, we are going to be making those 30% plus gains in revenue. What am I looking for and what is interesting? I'm looking for commercial client growth, both domestically and abroad. Why? Time and time again, it's proven. When Palantir starts working with you, they start with a very small contract and then they expand. So if you believe that Palantir has hyper growth, and it obviously doesn't look like right now, but if you believe that Palantir is a hyper growth company and the way they get there is they nourish their relationships, they grow their relationships, and they make those relationships flourish as your company grows, Palantir's contracts with you grow as well. Then you understand that commercial client growth is absolutely what is necessary. So let me give you some numbers. In Q3 of 2021, we had 115 commercial clients. Q4, it grew to 147. Q1 of 2022, it grew to 184. Then it grew to 203 in Q2, and we ended Q3 with 228 total commercial clients. What's interesting is our top 20 customers went up total revenue by 15%. It went from 41 million, so our top 20 clients were giving us 41 million, and then that grew to a massive 48 million. We are definitely on top of all software as a service companies, like for example, Snowflake, Microsoft, Datadog, all those other companies that offer software as a service. Palantir is by far the most expensive. And this was kind of like a double-edged sword. It's really cool because we're exclusive and we're super thick and we do some really dope stuff. However, because we're so expensive, nobody really wanted to try us out, and we weren't really offering free products. As time went on, we actually grew a sales force, which Dr. Alex Karp, for the first time in a long time over the last 3 months, actually praises the sales force. He's like, hey, we finally got a sales force. They don't really know what to do because we never needed a sales force, and they're learning as they go along. And I forgot off the top of my head, but he only says we have like 100 active software salesmen that actually made a sale so far. What am I looking for in today's earnings call? And I think Tom Nash put it best, and Sachin actually co-signed it. So let me read you a tweet from Tom Nash. Sachin responds to Tom Nash. Tom Nash puts out a tweet. He says, biggest issues for Palantir to address today: GAAP profitability path, that stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. This is if you're actually profitable after all of the fancy accounting work and are you actually making money. And what Tom is saying is we need a path. We're not going to get there, and it was prolonged by an extra year, as far as I remember off the top of my head. We need a clear and coherent path to get to GAAP profitability. It's like, yo, we're signing up a lot of contracts, we're with you, the community is behind you, but you got to give us a clear and coherent, concise answer of how we're going to get there. Number 2, future growth guidance. We want to know what's going to happen in the future. How are we going to grow? Which clients are we going to get? Is it going to be American? Is it going to be foreign? Is it going to be military, non-military? How are you going to expand? How are you going to expand on existing contracts? These are things that we really want to know as investors. And again, Tom said it 100% correctly. Commercial business growth and non-US revenue growth. So the United States by far is our largest market, by far, followed I believe by the United Kingdoms, and we're just starting to dabble into other markets. We're dabbling into Europe. Right now we're making an aggressive push into Ukraine, which is going to allow us to expand into other NATO countries, obviously because of what's happening with the war with Russia right now. So we want guidance on that. Stock-based compensation reduction. One of the worst things is, or best things is, we have stock-based compensation. How do you get the best possible engineers? You offer them a piece of the company. How do you offer somebody a piece of the company? You give them shares in the company. By doing this, you increase their tenacity, because if the company does well, you do well. But if the company don't do well, you don't do well. So you as an engineer have an incentive to now make the company as best as possible. However, the stock-based compensation is absolutely destroying us. As I mentioned earlier, that's why our earnings per share is getting reduced, because we're expanding on the amount of shares that we have. So we want a clear and coherent path to be able to reduce our stock-based compensation as well. Excellent point. Net dollar retention increase, which means we want to increase our margin by decreasing our costs. And no bullshit in presentation to embellish numbers. And then Sachin says 100%. I couldn't have said it any better. I don't want to steal Tom's thunder, but that was a fantastic tweet. Thank you so much. Shout out, Mr. Tom. So I agree with everything that was just said. Few points. Dr. Alex Karp is working with a public speaking coach. He said it. I mentioned this before. Everyone said, Adam, you don't know what you're talking about, whatever. But he actually admitted it in, I think, Davos or FoundryCon. He says, yeah, I'm working with a coach. Why? To be able to articulate and, get his thoughts across better without this philosophical stuff. And I don't want to call it philosophical bullshit, but without all of that next level, stuff. Let's just talk in plain English so that most people can understand you, including analysts. If he's working with a public speaking coach, hopefully he can give us amazing guidance. All I care about is the guidance. And just don't miss numbers. Please beat expectations by a little bit so that we don't get completely dumped. The guidance is what we need. Honestly, if they somehow jump on this ChatGPT wave, this AI revolution wave, because we are AI, I'm not saying integrate ChatGPT, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if somehow we can ride the wave and get a little bit of shine, like C3 AI, they have the name AI, and I'm not saying change the name, but ride the wave a little bit, this would be a good thing. Up until all of these contracts come to fruition and keep expanding, which is going to get us a step closer to GAAP profitability. Now, I want to say another thing. People have a tendency, and a lot of people on YouTube, that I only invest in solid companies that make revenue, companies that are solid and they don't have a risk of going down. And I get it. However, if you are young and aggressive, you need to go balls to the wall, in my personal opinion. Could be wrong. This is what served me well. And you need to have some risks. In Russian, there's a saying, "Тот, кто не рискует, не пьет шампанское." The person that takes no risks is not going to drink champagne. In other words, if you take no risks, you're never going to win. You're not going to win the race. You're not going to win the game. You're not going to win anything. And you guys can take whatever you would like from that statement. If you're an investor and you're investing to really make some gains in the future, you don't invest in companies that are already making revenue. You invest in a company by doing your research preemptively before they're profitable. That's how you make those gains. That's how you make those Amazon gains and those Microsoft gains and the Tesla gains and the Nvidia and the Apple and the Facebook, so on and so forth. You get in before those companies take off. And Palantir, and I'm not saying it will, I'm not saying it won't. I'm saying Palantir absolutely has a possibility of doing those gains and returns for you. At a 12, 13, $14 billion market cap, Palantir is stupid cheap for what it does. At the end of the day, Palantir is the only company that can do what Palantir does. While China is using spy balloons, right? Palantir has Meta Constellation. Like, just think about what I just said. You might not agree with what's happening in Ukraine. You might think Russia's winning. You might think Ukraine's winning. But at the end of the day, there's literally Russian articles being published in the Russian tongue talking about Palantir and Meta Constellation that's giving the edge to Ukraine, and that's why they're having such a hard time, the Russians in Ukraine, because Palantir is giving the Ukrainians the ability to know where to go, where not to go, where to avoid, and where to be. So whether you agree with this war or not, and whether you love Palantir or not, even the strongest critics and haters of Palantir must admit, Ukraine is still standing and it was supposed to get demolished in 3 days. This is literally what it was supposed to be. Russia thought, all the news thought, everybody except for Palantir thought, because they understand software is the great equalizer. When you have an abundance of hardware, software can make the whole difference. And it is. And you could see it right now. Guys, I'm going to join you after the bell on Arnie's channel. Please enjoy one more video down below. I definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me. Please click the bell notification so you actually are notified when I come out with videos. Thank you and have a great day.